Hello YouTube, and welcome to another Elder Scrolls lore video. Today I want to talk to you about the Stormcloak family, a family which has been quite prominent in the city of Windhelm over the years. While most people simply know Ulfric, the latest leader of the family, who basically threw Skyrim in, well, turmoil, the family itself is pretty ancient, and it has an interesting history, of which we don't know too much, but there's definitely some interesting history that we do know. With that said, let's kick over today's lore video on the Stormcloak family. The history of the Stormcloak family allegedly begins during the late Merethic era, when the city of Windhelm was constructed to serve as an ancient capital of the now Nordic-controlled province of Skyrim. One of the clans that helped with the construction of the city was the Stormcloak family. We do not have any records or names of specific individuals that helped constructing the city at the time, however, according to members of the family, their family was already present during the construction. According to what we know, the family most likely remained in the city, and they were already of some prominence, as we know that the Stormcloaks owned a vineyard close to Windhelm during the First Era, where they produced high quality ice wine. The first actual record that we have of one of their members rising to a sort of form of political prominence was presumably around the year 540 of the Second Era, a good few years before the Elder Scrolls Online takes place. This is when an unnamed member of the Stormcloak family rose to the rank of Captain of the Guard of Windhelm. We do not know any of his deeds as captain or before he became captain, but we do know that a good few years after him becoming a guard captain, around the year of the Elder Scrolls Online, so the year 583 of the Second Era, his daughter, called Mara Stormcloak, followed in his footsteps to also rise to the position of guard captain. In her own words, she then climbed a bit higher than her father and rose to the position of Thane of the city. We can meet her as an NPC in the Elder Scrolls Online when she's a Thane, and she tells us there about her ancient family and how they've been around all the way since the construction of the city. In the Elder Scrolls Online we can help her with various tasks around Windhelm, however we don't learn particularly much about her own character other than her being a good friend of Yoren the Skald King. More information about her as a character is actually given in the Emperor's Guide to Tamriel, the book included in the Imperial edition of the Elder Scrolls Online. The writer of the book, who is tasked with documenting the many provinces of Tamriel, comes across her while visiting Windhelm. He describes her as a striking Nord woman, clean-shaven, with weather-beaten skin and deep blue eyes. The author walks with her while observing some of the Windhelm guard, and then has a drink with her, then a couple more, and then in the end Mara Stormcloak has to help him walk outside as the author had too much mead. The two then walk around the city, drunk, while Mara shows him around and explains the history behind the city's many landmarks. It's revealed in this chapter of the guide that she is fond of stories from ancient times. And when the author passes out from too much drinking, Mara brought him to a bed at the barracks and kept his possessions safe for him. The next day the author is hungover, but spends the day with Mara and her shield brother Holgun, and joins them for yet another feast, making drunken arrangements to go hunting with them the next day, which he regrets the next day. However, once he goes hunting with Mara and Holgun, the author accidentally loses the hunting party in the mist after a few days and is forced to go on his journey without them. He then continues his journey across Tamriel, and we don't really hear anything more from Mara Stormcloak, because that's basically all we know of her, other than we can meet her in Elder Scrolls Online, as one of the Thanes of Windhelm. There's actually another known Stormcloak during the Second Era, the warrior Seglund Stormcloak, a man of whom we know little else than him being fond of Nordic armor and serving in the city guard for a while before joining the Fighters Guild, to become sort of a legend. We don't know exactly when he lived or whether he lived during the same period as Mara, but it's likely that he might have lived a few decennia before her, as we can find a book that refers to him in the Elder Scrolls Online. From this moment on, we don't know exactly what the Stormcloaks were up to, until the Great War of the Empire against the Dominion. At this point, during the Great War, Eastmarch was ruled over by Jarl Hogue Stormcloak, also called the Great Bear of Eastmarch. We know little to nothing about him, other than him being the father of Ulfric Stormcloak, and having a more tolerant view of outsiders in the Empire than his son, who would succeed him after his death in the year 176 of the Fourth Era. During this time, Ulfric was still in prison for his involvement in the Markard incident. However, when Ulfric left prison, he returned to the city, where he was quickly named the new Jarl, destined to succeed his father. From this point on, history is pretty well known and we've talked about it in many videos. Ulfric succeeded his father as Jarl after fighting in the Great War himself and freeing Markarth from the Forsworn in what became known as the Markarth Incident. This event had left him with the title the Bear of Markarth, a title in the same fashion as his father's title, the Bear of Eastmarch. As Jarl Ulfric was confronted with an angry population who, like him, called out for justice and a lift of the ban on Talos worship, he used his power as Jarl to become an advocate for Skyrim's independence, continually speaking about independence whenever the Jarls gathered. It is said that during the moot which elected High King Torek to the High Kingship of Skyrim, he spoke of Skyrim's independence in ways just shy of treason. During his years as Jarl, he also adopted very conservative Nordic values in the city of Windhelm, banning Argonians from living inside the city walls of Windhelm and creating a situation in which Dark Elves of Windhelm came to live in a slum known as the Grey Quarter. In the year 201 of the 4th era, his advocacy for the independence of Skyrim came to a climax when he challenged High King Torek to a duel over Skyrim's leadership in a traditional Nordic way. Ulfric then used the power of the Thuum in this duel, in which he was trained with the Greybeards by youth. By using this power in the duel to obliterate his opponent, many called it an unfair fight that breaks the tradition of the ancient Nords. This act led to Skyrim being torn, several of its holds supporting Ulfric in his claim to the position of High King, seeing as he earned the title fairly in a duel and agreeing with his fight for Skyrim's independence, while the other half of Skyrim's holds disagreed with his views, or said that his uneven battle with Ulfric was cowardly and that it was a coward's way of usurping the throne. It doesn't really matter who is right here, but this led to Skyrim being torn and plunged into a civil war. Basically the situation that we find it in when we boot up the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim for the first time. And that's basically a short overview of the Stormcloak family, or at least what we know of them. I realized that I skimmed over Ulfric rather quickly, however I've talked about him so extensively in the past that I felt like repeating everything in great detail here would be a bit dull, so watch my other videos on the topics. That said, I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, consider sticking around until the next one, next Thursday, or watch some of my other previous Elder Scrolls lore videos. By now I made close to 200 of them, so there's probably something among it that you'll enjoy. Before I end this video, allow me to thank my top Patreon supporters, Mr. Bernardo Binda, Metalloid1v1, Hayden Barnes and Gabriel Binda. These guys, along with the other people on screen, make it possible for me to make these kind of videos every week, and I'm very grateful to each and every one of them for that. And allow me to thank Mr. Christmas from Discord who helped me get Elder Scrolls Online footage for this video. Unfortunately, my own Elder Scrolls Online client is currently crashing every time that I attempt to start it, so I'm very grateful for him getting some screenshots for me. And by the way, for those still watching, I'm recording this post-editing. Earlier today I posted a poll on my channel telling you guys about how I wrote a 243-page novelization of one of Skyrim's questlines. This has been a project that I undertook largely for fun and which I started writing about 4 years ago, just whenever I wanted to relax, you know, when I wouldn't want to be gaming or anything. It was basically before I even started this channel, so I took one of the questlines and I added some original characters and I expanded on the plot of the questline in ways that seemed sensible to me. I also added some headcanon stuff for myself to make the writing a bit easier and to make the plot a bit more fun, to me at least. This is in no way an official channel project and it diverges from the canon slightly, even though I try to stick by it. However, I asked you guys in the poll whether I should release it or not, and I received overwhelming support for releasing it, with over 90% of you guys actually voting in favor of it, so I'm very grateful for you guys having so much confidence in me, apparently. I've decided that I might post it somewhere online, after I have had some people proofread it to see if it's even worth posting somewhere. Yeah, if you're interested in pre-reading the first version for me, please contact me directly on either Discord or Instagram. I need about 3-4 people to read it for me, if you don't mind, so if you're not interested in that sort of thing, I mean, no problem, you can just watch the videos and skip this whole part directly. But if you're interested in any of those things, contact me. I'm not sure whether I'm gonna let anyone who messages me just read it. I need about, as I said, I need about 3 or 4 people. But yeah, I'm thinking of releasing it. I need mostly feedback on story. I don't need feedback on grammar or punctuation, as I'm not native English, so those things, even in the final version, will be problematic probably. But I want to see if the story is at least fun and if it's worth posting. So yeah, if you're interested in that kind of thing, please send me a message. Yeah. Alright, let's carry on with what I recorded. So with that behind us, I will see you all next Thursday with a fresh Elder Scrolls lore video. Bye bye.